Hello guys, this is part 15 of ASP.NET MVC series. In this video we are going to learn how to edit data of an object like student. So requirement here is such that we want to edit some information that is already stored in database, but for some reason if we have misspelled something, or we have given something wrong, or we want to add some values to existing object, how can we do that? So for that, let's flip to Visual Studio, and for the sake of saving some time, I have already typed in some code here for editing the record. So for that we must have HttpGet and HttpPost method. Why we need two methods, HttpGet and Post? Because technically we are going to create a view or present a view to the user for which he or she is want to edit some information. So in edit, why we are using nullable ID? Because if somebody is ready to edit some information, he or she must pass some information to this action method, so that this action method can decide which kind of object or which student this user wants to edit the information. So like I want to edit the student information with primary key 5, so I will pass student/edit/5. If I pass 10, I want to edit the student at number 10 information, or with primary key 10 information. So if I pass null, that technically mean we cannot filter any student at null. So if the ID is null, I am going to throw HTTP bad status code bad request, and if somebody passes an ID that is not existing in the student table, like we have 10 students, but the user hits the URL student/edit/20. We have 10 students, but the request is to edit the information of student at primary key 20. Now technically there is no student at primary key 20, or there is no primary key defined 20. So in that case, this student object will be null. We are finding db.student.find by primary key ID, that is ID, and this will definitely be null if there exists no primary key that is being passed here. Now ID is not null, but the student at that ID is not existent. In that case, student will be null. So if the student is null, we say HttpNotFound page. So if everything is okay, we are going to prepare an edit view, and for that we add an edit view. I have already added, but I just want to show you how can we add edit view. We select template edit, and we select student and application db context class as context class, and we add the view. Now we want to edit the information on the front end, and when we post that information, we want to post this edited student information to this action method, post action method, and in this action method we are going to say that db.Entry student.state is equal to EntityState.Modified, and then we are going to hit db.save changes. Okay guys, this line is responsible to reflect the tell the db context class that there is something happening that is modifying, and then we are going to definitely save the changes to reflect the changes to the database. Now one of my students asked, sir, if we write this line of code db.students.add.student, because student is being passed here, and if we use this line of code, even then our record is being added in the database. So what is the point in using this line of code and this line of code? What is the difference? So guys, this is very obvious and very clear. This will update the information of the student that is already existing in database. Okay guys, this will not add any new student, but this line of code will create a new student instead of updating the existing student. So this is very clear guys. You can test if you have some confusion. You can comment this line of code and you can uncomment this line of code, and you will see what's happening in real. So now quickly we run this project, or we can go to view and check what's happening there. So this view is accepting a student that will be edited, and for that we are going to prepare editor force. Now editor force I have already explained in previous videos that editor force can be used for adding or editing some new information. So editor for is being used so that text boxes may appear. Then we use the submit button, and we are in the HTML begin form. So the values of this form will be posted to the student controller onto the edit action method, and this will save this action method will be responsible for saving the changes. So let's quickly run it and try and test whether it's working or not. So for that we need to pass first of all call the student slash edit slash id URL, so that we may ask our application to edit some student. So if let's say we do not pass any ID here, so this must fire HttpBadRequest, because ID will be null, and if ID is null we are going to show HTTP status code bad request. Now if I pass some ID that is out of the bound of the values in the database, like we have 10 students, but I want to edit the student at ID 90, so there is no student at primary key 90 in the students table. That's why it's firing this line of code. Now if the student is existing in database, like I say 2 student, I want to edit the information of student 2. Now I will write here Hamza Ali, and I update number here as 0345777777 and 7. When I click save, this will fire up to this post action method, and this will be saving the changes. Then we can go back to list that we created in previous videos, and we can see that Hamza Ali has now got this phone number and this name. So these links are dynamically generated. We have looked on we have added this index action method in previous videos. Let's quickly go back to that view, and now this view is accepting an enumerable list of students, and it's preparing a row for each student. Now action link for edit here is to be understood clearly, because this is the display text that is being displayed here, and you can see in bottom left corner, if I mouse over any edit link, it's saying, and the left bottom corner, that if you click me, I will fire up to in student controller in edit action method, and the ID will be parameterized as 3. If I mouse over on any other, the ID is changing, you can see. So one point is to be noted here, that this is the method how can add ID or any parameter to a link, so that it can fire an action method that is accepting some ID as parameter. So if I click here, it's working fine. So if I change this ID must match the spelling with action method name here. Here is ID. It's not case sensitive. You can put in here capital ID, it will even then work. But if you put here SID, or you put in the link SID, this action method not work, because like if you put here SID and you run the project and you want to edit the information, this will say that ID is null, because SID is not being passed. Let me check what's the error. Sorry, because we are using ID here, so we must update it to capital ID, or I may update it to ID, but in the link we are using SID. When the control fires here, the ID will be null because we are accepting, we are throwing here SID but accepting here ID. So in that case ID will be null and this code will execute. So let's quickly test it. I again run it so that any changes might be saved and we view the updated outputs. So if I go to student/index action method, this will be listing a list of students, and we have updated the ID as SID in the link. Now you can see in the left bottom corner that now edit question mark for query string, and we are saying SID is equal to 1, but in action method we are accepting ID, not SID. So if we are sending SID, technically the ID in the parameter in the edit action method in student controller will be null. So if the ID is null, we see bad request. So let me again change, I might change it to SID or I might change it to ID. So I want to change it to ID. Now if I run it, it must work as expected. So now you can see in bottom left corner the URL is student/edit/1, and if I click it, I can edit this information. So guys, that's it for this tutorial. Hope you are learning anything from me, and if you are finding any of my content here helpful, I will request you to like and subscribe to my channel, and do share my channel, do subscribe, do ask your fellows and friends to like and share my videos so that they may also learn from this series. So that's it for this, guys. In next video we will be learning how to delete any students information or any objects information from the database. So have a great day.